Hello guys, welcome back to Between the Ropes TV. I suppose the best place to start, Happy New Year guys, how are you both doing?
I'm brilliant, yeah. I'm Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year to you as well, Yaz.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, lads.
I thought you were both airing me then. Well, guys, we'll get straight into it. So the purpose of this video, obviously, we've had a couple of weeks off. We staggered our rewards, so I hope you all like those. If you haven't watched them, do check them out. But we thought we'd do a breaking news update because there's been bits. It's not been the busiest Christmas, but there has been little bits come out since we've had just over a week off. So, guys, we'll get straight in and we'll talk about the Chris Eubank Jr. Liam Smith undercard. Yes, I'll come to you first. Now, I was very happy. Obviously, we've had him on the channel before. Jack Massey, obviously former the IBO Cruiserweight champion, has got a huge opportunity in taking on Joseph Parker. Now, do you think this is a good move for both fighters?
I feel like it's a good move for Jack Massey more than Joseph Parker. Reason being because obviously they're two guys who've held world titles in their respective divisions. But obviously we know the cruiserweight division, there's not really much going on, and the money's in heavyweight division. So I feel like this move, obviously, if he's able to, pull it off and win against Joseph Parker, then it opens up paydays and, it's good for his exposure. So I think it's more so an excellent move from Jack Massey rather than Joseph Parker.
No, I kind of agree because, I mean, for me, we spoke about it both on and off camera, in that bubbling domestic cruiserweight scene, Jack Massey's name's not mentioned very often. And obviously, we know that IBO smaller piece of the world title puzzle, if you like. But Ray, I mean, do you think he can make this step up? I mean, it's the right time to be fighting Parker, isn't it? After, Joe Joyce just took him to pieces, in fairness.
Yeah, he did. I think Parker's on the decline. He probably has been for the last two fights, in my opinion. It is a good opportunity and it's a good chance to get a Parker better than any for Jack Massey if he's going to be taking a step up against heavyweight. I think my problem is I haven't seen Jack at heavyweight. He hasn't had that bridging fight before he goes in against Joseph Parker, who's still a name in the top 15. So I think it may be a bit too much for Jack. I think he's probably bitten off a bit too much than he can chew. But it's a win-win situation for him because if he loses, he steps back down into cruiserweight, and if he puts on a good performance, people might start looking at him and taking a risk and a gamble on him.
No, definitely. Well, speaking of cruiserweight, obviously we've got Riakporhe back. And obviously we were speculating just before Christmas, not too sure what was going on with him. Obviously we know the Lawrence Okoli situation. That's become obviously a little bit more clear. But Riakporhe's taking on Glowacki. And Ray, fair play. I know this is a man that you actually mentioned as the perfect opponent. So didn't know you were moonlighting for Boxer's matchmaking team. But I'll come straight to you. Obviously, I'm guessing, like me, like most people, you're a fan of this fight.
Yeah, I think it's a good test for him at this stage in his career. They're building him up properly, and I think giving him a Glowacki gives him the opportunity to really iron out somebody who's done it, only lost against the best, and even if it's the Billam Smith fight next, he's still a good, solid, sturdy opponent that only the best get rid of.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, yes, we'll obviously cover this a bit more in depth, but are you a fan of this fight as well?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like Ray said, it's the step that Riakporhe kind of needs if he's really going to push on in 2023 and fight for a world title, because he's mentioned it that he believes he can beat, champions and whatnot. He needs this fight to kind of get there, because obviously at the beginning of the year, Boxer were pretty active in trying to push him and build his name properly. And obviously now I feel like this is the perfect fight for him, for someone who he ain't fought since June as well. So I feel like this fight is well needed for him before he really puts his foot down on the gas next year.
No, 100%. And just quickly, to finish this subject, guys, there's a lot of debate about Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith being a pay-per-view event. Isn't it? With this now undercard, yes, I'll come to you first. Is this now a pay-per-view event? Because I'll be honest, for me, depending on the pricing point, I think it is now. I think, the top 3 fights are all 3 good fights.
Yeah, I mean, like, you've got to remember, like, what boxers are doing, and they've got to make the money back somehow. So I feel like it is worthy of a pay-per-view, like you said, as long as the price is reasonable. The fight will sell out in, I think it's Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
The fight will sell out. Eubank, obviously, he's grown so much. His personality has grown so much ever since the whole 60% thing, and obviously, Liam Smith is a big name. So I feel like it is a fight that is worthy of pay-per-view.
Definitely. I mean, Ray, are you agreeing with us? And also, what do you think in relation to this? Was one of the big reasons Eddie Hearn said he left Sky and went to DAZN. So as he stopped having to do cards like this that were debatable, so as he didn't have to necessarily put them on pay-per-view. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, because it's not a pay-per-view card, in my opinion. I wouldn't have it as a pay-per-view, and I can see why Eddie Hearns thought, well, I need to make money, so I need to make fights like this pay-per-view. And because I feel as though I'm cheating the fans, I need to leave Sky and I need to go to a different platform to put those type of fights on a normal show. And this is what I've been criticising Eddie Hearn for not following up on that and doing with DAZN. But that's that subject. On this subject, although I understand where Yas is coming from, and yourself, Liam Smith is a reputable name in British boxing, a big name in British boxing, so is Eubank. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a pay-per-view fight. You got to look at where they are in their careers. You got to look at what's in stake. I know some people say that you don't necessarily need a title, but in my opinion, this is a crossroads fight. Parker's coming in; he's a big name, but again, it's at a crossroads in his career. So for me, I don't have this one as a pay-per-view, card because of those reasons.
Yeah, moving on. Obviously, there's obviously last time I think I checked online, we saw that Anthony Joshua was, he's still in the search of putting together a new training team in place. What are your thoughts on the situation, Ray?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Yes, because I think we were given there's certain boxers we've been given a lot of stick for moving trainers about, for getting rid of trainers and flying all over for trainers. So I think we've got to be consistent and keep that same energy for Anthony Joshua. So if Anthony Joshua's just using trainers like, the repair of trainers, getting rid of them when they no longer suit him or when they're out of fashion, then we've got to hold him accountable to that. I don't see what he's learning now. And the more he does this, the more I kind of think, well, why do you not just stick with Rob McCracken? I'm still struggling to see why he had promoted Angel Fernandez initially to then bring in Robert Garcia. So that decision is becoming more strange as time goes on. So these decisions he's making aren't really aging well. How about yourself, Yaz?
No, look, I agree. Me personally, I think with Anthony Joshua, I feel like I'm a bit confused with what he's actually trying to achieve. Obviously, he's back. We know that he was back out in America again, and obviously, I feel like as a fighter, if you wanna, I don't believe in this whole thing of wheeling out trainers from the US to come here. I feel as though if you want to train with an American coach, you need to go out to their gym. The student follows the teacher. You don't, because it doesn't work that way, because they've got their methods. They've got the gym, and I feel like there's just too much pressure on him, and there's too much going on in the UK with all these commercial obligations and stuff like that. Going to the US will probably do him a world of good where he can lock himself away and focus on training camp, and then probably just come back to the UK 2-3 weeks before just to acclimatize.
Completely agree. Josh, we're just on about Joshua changing trainers. The amount of times he does it, just like I change my socks, and I do change my socks, by the way.
It's not what Emma said.
So yeah, I knew she was on the phone to your missus late one night. But yeah, I mean, what's your views on it, pal? What do you think about Joshua? Yaz is saying he should base himself out in the States.
No, I totally agree. And obviously, Garcia's come out and said that, hasn't he? That, he's sort of slagged off the training camp that they had for Usyk 2, saying it was all quick and easy. And he's implied that on days that they'd scheduled sparring, if Joshua didn't want to spar, the sparring didn't happen. ultimately, if you're gonna, these top end trainers, they're paid a fortune. Obviously, it's a percentage of your purse. So at Anthony Joshua's level, they're earning a fortune. Make them earn their money. That's why, especially Garcia, everybody that is being talked about, Virgil, Hunter, and obviously, let's be fair, the list that's been linked with Anthony Joshua is basically every American trainer that's at the top end, Roy Jones Jr. as well. Trust them. They've produced champions. That's why you're going to them. So there's absolutely 0 point going to a Robert Garcia, a Virgil Hunter, a Roy Jones Jr. and then saying, "Oh, actually, no, we'll do it my way." Because, what we've just seen, and I'm an Anthony Joshua fan, as you know, I predicted him to beat Usyk both times. But your way doesn't work, in the nicest way possible. So take a trainer on, get a team, because he's 33 now, just turned, don't forget. So the next 12, 18 months, it's make or break for him. He either gets back to that elite level or it's finished for him, really and truthfully. Because DAZN aren't going to want to be paying him, up to £100 million to be fighting no marks. They've already said his comeback fight will more than likely be at the O2. That says it all, which, the O2's still a big arena, but this is a man that sells out stadium after stadium. So he needs to start taking boxing seriously and dip off those commercial, I'm going to say excuses, because for me, I get it that it's time consuming, but at the same time, you're a boxer first and foremost, and winning in the ring is what brings the rest. So that's my view on it.
Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more there, boys. Just moving on to the next subject. It seems as though it's finalised for Josh Taylor to face Jack Catterall, which is going to be in March back in Scotland. Yaz, is it going to be revenge or is it going to be repeat?
Do you know what? From the when I watched the first fight, obviously I had Catterall winning it, so I'm going with Catterall getting the revenge and getting justice, because in my opinion, he was robbed in that fight. Now, obviously, I'm glad that they're finally able to get it back on, because obviously there's been a lot of back and forth in the last year or so from when they last fought, and obviously I feel like they're both at an level playing field because they last fought each other, and I feel like this is going to be the fight that really gets them both up for it to see who takes it all.
Josh, just to come to you for your namesake, Josh. What does Josh Taylor do differently in this fight? I know he's got a different trainer. He's with Joe McAnally in Liverpool. He's no longer with Ben Davison. We know how tricky Catterall is. Southpaw, he can make it ugly. He's skillful. He could be awkward at times. He's got a great sense of timing and uses his feet quite well. Josh Taylor's had 12 rounds with him already. Can you see him making the necessary adjustments in order to win this fight convincingly?
I can. The biggest question for me is the weight, because Josh Taylor looked rough at the weight for the first fight. There's no denying it. He looked terrible. He's since come out and, insinuated that the camp wasn't quite right. Yeah, that's fine. I understand, a fighter, generally, they have excuses when they're obviously, it's not gone well. Yeah. However, if he can make the weight right, I think he'll be fine and he'll win this, because we know Josh Taylor can operate at levels above where he performed in that first fight. And I can see it being a little bit like Froch Groves too, because Catterall's lost the element of surprise a little bit, hasn't he? Because, like you said, all those little tricks and the footwork, Josh Taylor's done 12 rounds with him. He knows kind of what to expect. And I'm not calling Jack Catterall a one-trick pony, far from it. But I just think Josh Taylor's operated at those levels above. Let's not forget, before the Catterall first fight, we were talking about Taylor in a pound-for-pound list. Obviously, that was a shocking performance. He didn't handle it the best for me, how he lost and tried to insinuate that he'd won. He should have just said, I've got away with one there. Let's get the rematch done. But if he can make the weight right, I think he'll win this fight quite comfortably.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you, Josh. I think I was smiling there because that's the way I kind of think it'll go in terms of, I think Josh Taylor really underestimated Jack Catterall. I think he thought he would walk through Jack Catterall. And I think he's probably looked at his own resume and thought, I've just beaten Regis Prograis, and look what Regis Prograis has gone on and done. That win against Regis Prograis, I understand it was close. I scored it quite close, but I still scored it to Taylor. It looks better and better and better every time Regis Prograis goes and has a win. Ramirez, obviously, he's got his own issues. He's turning down a couple of fights here and there, but that was still a good win. Josh Taylor's got a very good resume for somebody in that division. And I think in comparison to Jack Catterall, after what he fought, Jack Catterall hadn't fought for 2 years at that point, don't forget. So I thought he would walk through him. So I'm expecting a better performance from JT and expecting him to get the decision over in Scotland. Moving on, boys, we had quite a contentious issue, didn't we? Literally a domestic issue with Gervonta Davis. We kind of spoke on this innocent until proven guilty topic before, haven't we, in relation to Conor Benn? But this one quite nearly put the fight and the whole card in jeopardy. Tank has formed, shall we say, for these allegations of behaviour before. I believe the fight card is still going ahead. Whether it's going to go ahead as pay-per-view, I'm not too sure. You boys can probably correct this and update us all on that. But Josh, what are your views on what's happened with Gervonta Davis in the situation now in the fight going ahead? Do you think it gives his opponent the edge?
Well, it creates a mental block on Tank, doesn't it? In terms of, he's 100% of his attention can't possibly be on this fight, and it's a risky fight anyway. Obviously, let's be honest, no one's talking about this fight other than the fact it's really nice to have a good fight so early in January and a good card. In fairness, there's a few names on it, but obviously everyone's got one eye on Tank Garcia. So these sorts of fights are always a banana skin at the best of times. We've seen it time and time again. Back to the days of Tommy Morrison, isn't it? We've seen best laid plans and all that, and it ends up going wrong. As for the allegations, there's no room in the world for domestic violence and stuff. However, it's even worse in the boxing world, isn't it? Because obviously you trained to throw punches properly, if you like. So I'm sure we'll be unanimous on that, and it's wrong. And yes, innocent till proven guilty, but he has got form. There's been allegations previously. It's a little bit concerning, but I just hope he can come through it, focus on this fight, and get the win. Because regardless of what's gone on outside of the ring, inside the ring, he's a talent. And as a boxing fan, maybe naively, but I'm just choosing to focus on the talent inside the ring.
And yes, that's a good point that Josh made there. He's focusing on the talent that Gervonta Davis brings to the ring, and he's going to have to bring that and be focused, isn't he? Because Hector Garcia is no mug. He's had a terrific year last year, to be honest. Chris Colbert was a touted prospect. He beat him. He's also had a good win against Roger Gutierrez as well. So, considering the lining up Tank to fight Ryan Garcia, do you think Hector Garcia is going to use this to put a spanner in the works for Tank? And also, how disciplined do you think Tank can be in terms of you've also got all those issues about making the weight and he's training, etc. So do you think any of that has an effect on him and perhaps again gives Hector Garcia the edge in the fight?
100%. I feel as though those factors that you just mentioned, they really can have an effect on the fighter because, like you said, when stuff like that's going on, it's one thing saying, yeah, I've still got my eye on the ball, but mentally you don't because you've got loads going on in your head, court cases, this, that, whatnot. So 100%, I feel like his opponent will definitely look to capitalize on everything that's going on. Maybe try get in his head. Maybe think this is my perfect moment. One little slip up on concentration, and then I can rewrite the script. So of course, as his opponent should be looking to capitalize on that. Whether he will, I don't think so. I do see Tank just being able to hopefully remain disciplined and put on a solid performance for what's at stake in, I think it's April when he's due to face Garcia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's just play it safe, do what you got to do to get the win. Don't and just stay focused. But those factors can 100% affect the outcome of this fight. But I feel as though he knows what's at stake, and I feel he'll be able to get through that.
Nice one. Well, yes, I think that's about it, isn't it? That's just about ends our Christmas roundup. So, guys, don't forget we've got plenty more content still to come on the channel. It's a new year, but still the same us. But plenty more new content still to come. Plenty more interviews to stay tuned for. So keep an eye out for them. Take care from us.